is in. We brought the receipts, baby. Lay back, tell the truth. We do this dirty, but we do it safe. Counselors in the house, let's go. Talk it out and act like grown-ups. Secrets in the circle, lips sealed tight. If you need a little healing with a little heat, pull up a chair, keep your boots on. This is Counselors After Dark.
Hey guys, you're here with Betty.
It's Paula. Dottie here.
This is Daisy.
It's your girl Dolores.
And welcome to Counselors After Dark.
So the drink of the day today is going to be shots. Love it. So we're taking shots. My go-to is always tequila, chilled. I need a little bit of lime in there, like mixed in with the ice, and a chill shot glass. I'm a little high maintenance when it comes to shots, but that's mine. I know that everyone has their different preferences on shots. So I'm going to start with Betty. What's your shot?
I'm also a tequila girl. I'm definitely more a Patron, and I kind of just take it very quickly with any chaser that is available to me. So not high maintenance, but a little bit of a wuss when it comes to it.
Dolores, what's your shot, girl?
I like my tequila on the rocks. Just give it to me straight. I don't want any chaser. I don't care about a little lime. You don't have to put anything on my rim. That doesn't sound right.
Or does it?
A little salt, a little sugar, a little tahini.
Ooh, that sounds like
Sounds
Daisy's
spicy,
type
yes.
of drink.
I love my spicy, which is why my drink is Fireball whiskey. Yum, yum.
What about you, Dottie?
Okay, well, you guys are super hardcore.
What are you, green tea?
Close.
A lemon drop. The girliest shot possible.
If you knew Dottie, you would know that's like perfection for her.
It's delicious. You really can't go wrong with it.
I don't know why we've been taught that like shots are just supposed to be torturous. Maybe just for me because they burn my throat. But I'm like, I got to do this right now.
But they burn your throat in a good way, though.
You need something strong, especially when you've been dealing with admin all day and you've had that bad day, let's say every once in a while, right? So I want to hear from you. What is your shot of the day after a long day, Friday? We're going to the weekend. You've gone into some tiffs with certain people at work. Comment below what your shot is.
And that brings us to our topic of the day, administration. The good, the bad, and the ugly. We all know that administration is kind of a transitionary role. While we're there always, it seems like we have a new administrator every year.
Okay, let's get into our post. This school year has been very difficult. My supervisor and I haven't gotten along very well. They are very micromanaging and critical of every single thing I do, even to the point of criticizing me and scolding me in front of students. I've cried almost daily for the last year. My confidence is obliterated. I feel like I can't do anything right anymore.
Guys, I have to tell you, I'm triggered by this post. Absolutely. Because if you are criticizing another adult in front of the young folk, all the students, that is already something wrong in my book. What kind of an administrator does that? Because I feel like the right ones will take you aside. And yes, you may have done something wrong, but unless you're physically throwing a kid up against a locker, I really don't think there's an issue there. Enough that you're going to do it in front of a kid.
I strongly believe that these people that get into power forget where they come from. And also, we are human beings. I think that just like you, I'm also triggered, honestly, because what is going on? I feel like I'm in this dystopian world where if I see another adult yelling at me, I'm walking out. Because that is inappropriate and totally unacceptable. You do not get to talk to me in any type of way just because you are in a higher position than I am. We are still humans and we are still adults. Do not embarrass me in front of children. That's crazy to me.
I think with this situation, my heart goes out for you. I can't imagine crying every single day over this. It's emotional, it's inappropriate, and It is, again, very triggering to hear this. This is not what you sign up for when you go into this field. And the fact that other people think that they can treat you like this is just really upsetting, because it's not. And a line needs to be drawn. And it's also a matter of what are you willing to accept and stand up for, and that fine line.
I think the most upsetting part is that we should be always treated like professionals. And why are we not sometimes treated that way? What makes administrators feel that they are above us just because of their title? They kind of act like we are below them. But why? Why do you ladies think they do that?
Because they're crazy.
Best answer.
Yeah. It
Power
is.
trip.
Yeah.
Total power trip.
And then maybe they just don't even understand what our role is as a school counselor. I've definitely felt that throughout the years, where administrators believe we're supposed to be doing certain things. And really, no, why am I proctoring for this exam? Why am I being asked to translate for some disciplinary discussion? I can think of a million scenarios. But part of that roadblock is that lack of understanding.
Because if you're not in our job every day, how could you possibly understand fully? They see things from the outside. We're in it every day. So I feel like it's easy for them to just say, oh, do this or do that, or you should handle it this way or that way. But we're the ones who see the inner workings of everything every day. It can be very frustrating.
I love when I have come across an administrator with no school counseling background, with no mental health background, tell me how to counsel a student. They have said to me before, I would have done this if I were you. Well, you're not me, but I did find a professional way to address the reasoning as to why I handled the situation the way I did. But it also stinks to have to go back at an administrator and to advocate for yourself saying, I know how to do my job. This is the X, Y, and Z reason why I said this to that student or said this to that family. You have to fight for the kids, and you have to also fight for yourself when you're dealing with administrators who are abusive, emotionally, verbally, administrators who are micromanagers. That's the one thing that I really can't stand. An administrator who is a micromanager, who won't let you just do your job freely the way that you were trained, the way that you know how to work with kids. As you ladies have said, they don't understand our role because they're not in it every single day. They see it from the outside, they give their 2 cents, and then they expect, oh, my way is the right way, and that's it. And unfortunately, when you deal with a bad administrator, the whole school environment, departments, students, the culture, it's all impacted. And you as the counselor, being the heart of the school, need to figure out how to make students feel safe, make staff feel safe, because teachers are going to come to you like you're their counselor. And that's not your role, but you're there to support everyone. So having an administrator that does not have your back really sucks.
Yeah, especially when it comes to your direct boss. If you're working in a school, you have all these different departments, and you have this one person that's supposed to be leading your department and having your back and addressing the issues that you can't, right? Because there's certain things that we can't say because, there is a food chain, like, let's be honest, right? But we are in that place where we can't really speak our mind. We can try, but not a lot of change will come. So we do expect to speak to our administrator, and then they can take it on and they can do what they can with their power. But when they don't back you up, what do you do with that? That can be so frustrating. How do you make change when you know you don't have the power to make change? And then you go to the person that has a little bit more power than you, but they're not willing to, they don't want to make any trouble. Maybe they're new, and then they use that as an excuse sometimes. Well, I'm not tenured, so I can't really do that right now. Just give me a little bit. And then once they do become tenured, now they just don't want to have any problem. There's always something. And I do respect that my boss is also a human being and they want their job and they don't want to burn bridges. But at the same time, it's like, you took on this job. You knew you were becoming an administrator to a department. You should be willing to fight those fights, because if you're not, then why are you here?
And it's so much harder when it's your direct boss. I feel like with other administration and other departments, you can kind of avoid them in certain situations. But when it's your direct boss and you have to deal with that person every single day and they're not supporting you or they're going against you, it can be very challenging.
I've definitely been put in very precarious situations, especially when you're trying to advocate for a student or a parent, someone who can't advocate for themselves, because it is a delicate balance speaking to an administrator. You do want to be respectful as much as you want to curse them. You do have to be respectful, even talking to them in person versus addressing it in email. Sometimes you don't want to address something in email just because you can't convey a good tone. Sometimes there's misunderstandings, and it's just best to add a little humanity into a conversation. Talk about whatever the issue is, and maybe you can say it in such a nice way where they're not going to get so upset with you, even though you know it might be a topic of conversation that can be very contentious. But yeah, it's a very delicate balance being put in a position where maybe you don't feel supported by administration. Thankfully, at least in a school district I know, there's a lot of transition when it comes to admin. So you only hope that it's going to get better someday.
I would also like to add too, in the situation, like being scolded in front of students, your colleagues, from your direct boss, it's okay to not respond right away and just kind of take it all in and really think about the situation, what happened, almost like just digest it. And I believe that going to another colleague within your department that you trust, another counselor, a senior counselor, it does help, just talking out that situation and having your feelings validated and how to move forward. Because sometimes when you're put in those unfortunate positions, you almost just like see red. For me, when I have been put in those positions, I just freeze because I can't fathom the fact that someone can speak to another person like this. I need to take a step back, talk it out with one of my colleagues, with you guys, Dolores, Daisy, Dottie, and Betty, because I don't know what to do. And what I want to say is not so nice to what I actually should say, because at the end of the day, we are professionals and we want to do right by our kids in a professional, conducive manner, right? But it is hard. And if you're crying every day, that's not okay either. You have to acknowledge that this isn't normal, and this state that you're in, there has to be a different way out of it. But you're not alone.
Yeah, I was scolded once in public from a director, and I'm not like a very confrontational person, but I think that was where I drew my line. I had my boundary and I wanted to react right away, but just like Paula said, I took a minute. And I went and I vented to my fellow colleagues and I let them know how upset I was. And I told them all of the ugly words that I wanted to use so I could just get all of that anger out of me so that I could deal with the situation professionally, because we do need to get that anger out, right? We are professionals and we want to be treated as such. And I set my boundary. I went and I spoke to this director, as scary as that was, because when you're starting out and you're talking to someone who's a boss, it's very scary. But I put my big girl pants on and I went and I told him that please don't do that again. That was not professional and I did not like what you did to me. And let me tell you, that person never did that to me again. And I think that they even saw that they need to respect me. And that's something that you need to do sometimes, even if it's really scary. And if after that it doesn't work and you still go back and do it, then I think you really need to think about just going somewhere else, because that is not okay. That's not an environment that you should stay in, because yes, it's your job, but at the same time, you're there all day. You cannot do that to yourself. You have to find an environment where you are happy and it's worth it.
Yeah. And sometimes it takes time to develop that backbone and know how to react to situations like that. I remember my first year not being yelled at by an administrator, but being yelled at by a teacher in front of other teachers. And that really set me aback. Back then, I thought, oh, don't all colleagues treat each other with respect? Little did I know. And yeah, sometimes we will get yelled at, not only by the teachers, but by the students, the parent, the administrators. It's not okay. And we have to be the professional ones and react in a way that is not going to end up on the news or something. And it takes practice. And maybe the first time you don't do it the right way because we're all human, but you learn from that experience and hopefully things turn out the right way.
I was also going to add that everything is situational. Sometimes people have bad days, right? We all have bad days. Other people can have bad days, directors, supervisors, the whole thing. And if this is a one-time thing, it's like, okay, let me reflect. Is this normal? Do they usually act like this? But if they're micromanaging and treating you with such disrespect, girl, what are we doing here? I don't know.
Say bye-bye.
I don't think you need to start applying and looking for other jobs. At first, it's important to try and assess the situation and see what you can control. I wouldn't even let the person fly saying it once. Once is too many times. So if I see that a teacher, admin, someone has spoken to me disrespectfully on the job, when I'm clocked in, I am addressing it, whether it is immediately or whether I am so hot that I need to take a step back and self-reflect. No matter what, it needs to be addressed so that we could move forward and be productive colleagues. When it's an administrator, and if you don't feel supported, you have an HR department. Whether HR is helpful or not, you have to at least take that step to find out, hey, this is how I'm being treated. I don't feel respected. Is there a mediation that can be done? Something. Because yeah, you can't just leave the job, but that doesn't fix the problem. Using HR as a resource can be beneficial, but you have to take next steps before just cutting dry, because not everyone's going to treat you respectfully in your job, and you have to show people who you are so that they respect you. Respect is not automatic, unfortunately. You have to show people how to respect you. In our roles as school counselors, that's a part of our job. We want the kids to feel safe and respected. We need to feel safe and respected. So I think that it's important for us to speak up for ourselves and speak up for our colleagues when dealing with administrators, when dealing with all staff.
Preach it, Dolores.
Absolutely.
Imagine like your boss gets another job
That would be amazing.
and then you just like don't have to deal with them.
I heard a story where a teacher had shared that they hated their principal so much that they quit their job, found a new job in a new district
No, stop.
because of that principal. And then it was either a year or two later, that principal moved to their same school. So you cannot run. You
Nightmare.
actually
Nope.
can't run.
Nope.
Wait,
You
that's
have
so
to
good.
address it. It happened.
I did not know that our genre was horror.
But do you find, I feel that when you confront the person, and it doesn't have to be in a nasty way, but when you tell somebody, listen, you disrespected me, like you said, Betty, in your situation, once you confront somebody, they tend to stop.
Or they retaliate. This is what gives me anxiety. What if they
Yeah.
retaliate? I'm the nervous one in the group.
But how would they retaliate?
Then they start being rude or passive aggressive towards
Yes.
you in situations. But then that's when, again, you have to put on your big girl pants, even though it's scary, and then call them out again, because people don't like being called out on their rude behavior.
We may have some audience members who are non-confrontational. I feel like my accent comes out sometimes. Let's say someone's in a grad program right now and listening to this because they want to know what's to come. You know, you're going to have to get ready for conflict. You will. There's going to be conflicts. You just can't avoid it. And being prepared for it might be helpful. Set up a script. How many times are we telling students to write things down, create a journal, whatever? You're going to have to practice it because it's going to come sooner or later, whether you like it or not. That way you can have hopefully a better experience in your career, in your everyday life. Because if you're avoiding a problem, it's only going to escalate. It's only going to get worse. And yes, it's going to be nerve-wracking. There are a lot of things that we do as a part of our role that can be very nerve-wracking. But if we practice it, if we consult with our peers, we're going to be able to get through it.
Paula, I was just,
She's going to yell at me.
I'm not going to yell. I'm going to talk very gently. I'm not going to yell.
This is the boss lady.
She needs to yell at me and I need to snap out of it. So this is not just for you. Whoever wrote that post.
I think it's just important. At a certain point, someone can retaliate at you. And it's not about going back and forth, having an argument. As Dottie was saying, it's not about being confrontational, but you have to advocate for yourself and address the elephant in the room. I know I said that the first attempt is the last attempt, which I think that should be the case. But some people, it might be, okay, the third time, the seventh time. At a certain point, you're going to feel beaten down on so much that you might just blow up and freak out. So
Right.
you don't want to get to that point where now I'm screaming at everybody, people that weren't even involved are getting my attitude. So I think it's something just to be mindful of. And ultimately, if an administrator is retaliating at you and you feel uncomfy, then what you need to do is, again, go to HR. It's called sue. It's called, don't Karens do that? It's called sue.
Right.
But don't take all of this negativity to heart, guys, because no matter where you go, you will find conflict. You want to work in being a carpenter, you want to be a CEO, you want to be a counselor, whatever it is, there is conflict everywhere. But there's also positives. Like you might find a really good principal, a really good director that supports you. We haven't found that yet, but that's okay. As long as you go out there and you really look for those relationships, and maybe you will have somebody that supports you. And like I said, it's not all negative. There are some positives out there. And as long as you have a good group of people backing you up, you're going to be fine.
I will say that my beginning years as a school counselor, I had an amazing director of school counseling. If I didn't feel supported by her, I might not have lasted. I had 5 observations my first year and everything was effective. There was my 3rd observation of the year. It was developing, guys, worse than developing.
Oh my God.
And the admin said, all right, Dolores, let me talk to my boss, which was the superintendent, because I don't want to count this observation against you. I don't want it anywhere on your record. The superintendent said to the director, do whatever you want. The director, 2 weeks later, re-observed me and it was effective. So I had a director who was supportive, who looked out for me, knowing it was my first year on the job. It was a crazy day. I was nervous because I'm 25 years old with my big girl job and I messed up. Did I feel like I messed up? No, I was high off emotions. I don't know what was going on, but she saw that in me to take a chance. That was a director that I knew if I ever want to be an administrator, I would want to be like her because she was so supportive, had my back when I didn't know I needed someone to have my back. She did. So there are definitely great administrators out there who look out for you.
I'm so glad you had that experience, Dolores. And we need to also remember that administrators are humans too, and they're going to have a mixed bag of qualities. They're going to be good at some things and bad at others, and hopefully there is some positive that we find in them all.
So, the bottom line, learning how to navigate administration, we know can be tricky, but as we know, there are always positives and negatives to this job. So keep being true to yourself and you will get through it.
So don't forget to hit that follow button so you can listen to all our juicy episodes.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Shots, shots, shots.
This is Counselors After Dark.